Hello, everybody. Hope everyone can hear me. Can you guys hear me in the chat? I haven't checked the audio, so just want to make sure that we're good before we get started on this reunion, you guys. Hello, with share. Oh, wonderful. So here we are, you guys. We're in full glam for our Real Housewives of Scientology reunion. This is a Real Housewives of Scientology reunion, what we're going to be talking about today. And I'm very, very excited to be with all of you here. Hello, Power Lies to Paralyze. Your hair really grew since the last time you watched. It sure did. It sure did. You know, it's those OT powers, you guys, that we really do, go on to like manifest whatever we want. We can just make happen. I want to have my hair grow to 27 inches and be blonde and curly so I can be really ready for my Housewives reunion. This is one that I've been, really kind of waiting for, because today we are going to dig into the glibness of the tea. We have our tea right here. We have our Housewives reunion. I see a lot of you. Do you guys even watch the Housewives? Hello, hey Renee. Thank you. Thank you, Brooke. See, you guys are liking our Housewives look. Thank you, C. Do you put turmeric in your tea? Sometimes. This is not tea with turmeric, you guys. This is straight black tea, what we have today. Because we are, discussing this opportunity that has landed in our 2025 bingo card. Never in my wildest dreams did I ever even think the fact that Rebecca Minkoff landed in this Real Housewives of New York franchise was my very first shock. The fact that I grew up with this girl back in Florida. Back in the day, we used to call her Becky Minkoff. Everybody knew her as Becky Minkoff. In fact, her Instagram is still under Becky, which I thought was really interesting, you guys, because Becky did put out a little statement for herself saying 2025 is a new beginning for me. And with current events in the world, I am reminded of the importance of family, friends, and community now more than ever. So Rebecca is very, very, very reminded that her friends, her family are so important now today in the year 2025 more than ever. Okay? It's never been more important for Rebecca Minkoff, her family, her friends, and her community. The last month has given me a new perspective on wanting to focus on my wildly amazing 4 kids, my supportive husband, my business of 20 years, the Female Founder Collective, my podcast, and my book. And literally, kid you not, you guys, my book, I don't think you can really see it there, but it's all capitals, all bolded. So Rebecca wants to focus on her book. As much as I've learned along the way with this franchise and fans, I want to reprioritize the things that mean the most to me. Designing, giving back, supporting women, and raising my family. I'm truly grateful for the experience, the friendships, and the fans that have been part of this RHONY chapter. It is time to turn the page. So it is very interesting to me that this is the statement that she put out, that she is going crisis management mode, you guys. Crisis management AF, because here's what happens when you're in Scientology. One day you can be in, and the next day you can be out. And how does that happen? Well, one moment you're being casted as the Real Housewives of New York, and look at me, I'm such a celebrity, and look at me, this is really going to help me sell more bags, because wait for when we get to the reunion, which is, gonna come later, you guys. I really want you to savor what we're discussing about Becky Minkoff. I did one tiny deep dive on her before. We're really now going to get to the nitty gritty. Okay. But with Rebecca going and talking about she wants to now focus on her book, on her kids, on her 20-year business, and that this Real Housewives has really opened her eyes. We need to take a look at her Scientology programming. We need to take a look at the fact that in Scientology programming from L. Ron Hubbard himself, the convicted felon, as you all do know, he was and is public record knowledge, Rebecca. Google it. Google it really quick. But the convicted felon, L. Ron Hubbard, is not going to let her get any type of criticism being raised about Scientology, because the antisocial personality, the anti-Scientologist, L. Ron Hubbard, forbids anyone in your orbit to have any, we're talking, there cannot be critical thoughts, there cannot be critical slants, there cannot be critical tones, there cannot be any criticism against L. Ron Hubbard, any criticism against Scientology is labeled inside of Rebecca's programming as they're the anti-Scientologist, they're the suppressives, they're the ones that want to keep the world down. So why is Rebecca having such a amazing, what is she calling it? Oh yeah, new perspective. Well, her new perspective is being fueled by the fact that she is dragging Scientology's name through the mud, through the Bravo community, which, as you guys know, this community, this Bravo community, the Housewives franchise, is an entire franchise of these women that are all handpicked, hand-selected to have these reality TV moments. But what can Scientology not afford? Scrutiny. And in Rebecca's mind from the very beginning, and we will get to it later, but the scrutiny is the fact that people are going, like, even questioning, even thinking it's weird. Even she's being asked, like, well, I think it's kind of weird that you're saying you're Jewish and Scientologist. Like, how does that even work? These people are allergic to being scrutinized because they cannot actually defend themselves. They cannot explain. She goes back to, like, oh, we don't have enough time here. This isn't the format. I mean, every type of gaslighting manipulation trick she tried to use was thrown back into her face. Because this time, Rebecca, you're dealing with a bunch of powerful, empowered, successful women that don't need your approval. for them to live their life and have oxygen. Thank you, Brooke. The words "no more kids in Scientology" hand banned. And thanks for the amazing look. Thank you, Brooke. Yeah, we're entering our Scientology Housewives era, you guys. This is the Scientology Housewives era that we're entering because Rebecca Minkoff just opened that door. Opened that door wide open for all of us to walk in. All of you that have been wanting to understand what is under the glib surface of this situation. And it does happen to be that the glib surface of the situation, as you said, is the kids. And on that note, you guys, we're going to actually read something for Rebecca Minkoff and for the entire Bravo community, because we need to start speaking to the Bravo community, the Bravo ladies, the ones that have built an entire franchise of picking apart the lives of these rich, powerful women, and they, hold them accountable when the receipts come forward. So we thought, how can we get this point across to Rebecca easiest? So we decided to write it down, Rebecca. And here's our message to you. The era of silence is over. You can feel it. Can you? The way of it, the reality pressing in, that this time we're going to make evil itself impossible to ignore. So remember, Rebecca, how L. Ron Hubbard did say, oh, you know what? Evil, nobody can confront evil. Nobody wants to do it. Nobody wants to confront it. Well, guess what? We're going to make it impossible to ignore your evil. There was a time when you could pretend. A time where you could rationalize it all away. A time when you could gaslight yourselves into believing that what you were doing was righteous, necessary, even good. Even good. But that time, Rebecca, is over. And the truth is louder than it's ever been. No more hiding behind the walls of your Fort Harrison hotel like it's a fortress. No more burying what happens behind closed doors under layers of BS policy letters and total PR lies. You got called out on that specific point in your reunion, Rebecca. When people were asking you about Scientology, you gave them talking points. Imagine you thought you could give women that did get born with discernment, that didn't get to the point of their careers and their life to where they are for just being completely manipulatable in the palm of your hand. Imagine they could call you out and be like, well, it sounds like you're giving me a talking point because I still don't understand what in the hell it is that you do in that Scientology. Why is your father's name, David Minkoff, connected to, Lisa McPherson? Google that. Why is your father's name, David Minkoff, connected to Lisa McPherson II, Whitney? Just literally Google that so you can see how your father seems to have a pattern of, women that don't make it out of this disgusting cult. Why is your father named in 2 of those lawsuits, Rebecca, where the women ended up, not being around? Not being around. So a lot of PR and a lot of lies. But you know what? You don't have the benefit to manipulate things and bend the reality and will it into the delusion that you have in your head about who you are, what you represent, what you endorse. No more pretending that kids who grew up in the system are just bitter, just PTS, out ethics. No more spin. We are none of those things that y'all came up with made up definitions, pitched, of course, by the convicted felon you are paying to worship and asking the IRS to give you write-offs. We are the kid survivors of those hotels, and we have the receipts. We know the policies, Rebecca Minkoff. So, well, yes, your castmates have an intuition that something seems fishy, that something doesn't seem right, that something about your pitch about Scientology seems weird, that it's an out point, Rebecca. When something doesn't make sense and you're investigating, guess what you do when it doesn't make sense? When it lands in your desk and you're like, the hell is this? This makes no sense. You pull the string. You ask another question. You find out, why does this make sense? Why is she claiming she's Jewish and why is she claiming she's Scientologist? Makes no sense. There's weirdness there. And yet you can never explain yourself out of a literal paper bag, literal multi-millionaire, $100 million that you said you were worth. Imagine being a multi-millionaire that cannot even explain the most basic shit about what it is that you really do believe. But we're going to get into your beliefs a little bit later because, you know, just to put a little tagline there for all of you guys, it's not the beliefs that are the problem. It's the acts that they literally do in furtherance of said beliefs. You can believe whatever in the F you want. Rebecca Minkoff, believe whatever deranged theory, whatever deranged idea. If said beliefs translate into abusing and putting kids at risk in any way, shape, or form, double check. Double check if your beliefs shouldn't be scrutinized. Double check if your beliefs shouldn't be criticized. Double check if you shouldn't be reining yourself the F back. Just double check on that for yourself. Like, in my viewpoint and my new perspective, Rebecca, I think that the entire cast of the Real Housewives of New York is doing you a favor. Call it an intervention, because that's what it was giving. You were there as an intervention. Never mind that these women are not empowered with the facts, are not empowered with knowing what in the hell they're doing to the kids. Never mind that they don't know, because the corporate media is pathetic, because they refuse to report on it, because they refuse to, call out dysfunction and laws when it comes to kids needing protection. Never mind. But now they do know. Now this information is being made available on YouTube in a way that they can consume it. So yes, make your questions to Rebecca about kid issues. If y'all thought she had bad answers for your softball questions about, like, how can you be Jewish and Scientologist? That doesn't make sense. Imagine when she has to explain to you all how her 4 children are actually 4 adults. Because that would be great for her to start really making that point. Really defend that, Rebecca, with a straight face in this year 2025. Where you are apparently very open to new perspectives. Well, this is your new perspective. Tell the entire Bravo franchise. Explain to them why you and the rest of the Scientology mothers call kids adults. Treat kids as if they were adults. Teach kids concepts, Rebecca, that, you should know better. now that you're a full-grown woman that you are. Because you know what? Imagine you went through that entire childhood experience being treated as an adult, and you said, you know what I need to do? Have 4 kids. And then you know what I need to do? Treat them as adults as well, because that really worked out for me. Look at how multimillionaire I am. You might be multi-millionaire, Rebecca, but you have no self-awareness. And you know what? Rewind the tape of your Housewives reunion so you can start spotting how unaware you are. Because that would be great. That would be really amazing. So let's talk about what you don't want to talk about. Let's talk about that. The choices that you keep making. You are not prisoners. You are choosing this. You are choosing to obey the policies of a convicted felon over the well-being of your own children. And yes, we would know what those policies are, Rebecca Minkoff. We were there with you as children. So don't think that you can play dumb. Don't think that we're not going to remember the policy. Don't think that we cannot quote it for you. We are disgusted. We are nauseated that our entire childhood was exploited that way. Why are you not disgusted or nauseated, Rebecca? That's the question. And then why are you exposing 4 of your kids to this bullshit? 4 of them. That you're teaching them the language. Oh, really teach about how reactive bank you have. Let me really teach you something. Let me teach you how dirty, degraded, aberrated you come to this world. Because that's what Scientology parents are selling to all their kids. You're not enough. You're disgusting. You're degraded. You're an aberrated. If you have any thoughts of your own, there's something wrong with you. What the hell? You should really like it here inside of these hotels. You should really like it here with this disgusting technology. Where are you being disgusted, Rebecca? With your $100 million, in what world do you really want to play dumb? In what world do you want to play dumb? Because in this world where you put yourself in the middle of, you're not going to be allowed to play dumb. That's how those housewife reunions work. We show up. We confront you. We don't give an F about your feelings, and we don't give an F about you being, oh, but the tone that you use when you ask me how I could be a Scientologist and a Jewish was really not good. That tone, the tone level. See, and that's again something that the housewives couldn't understand, you guys, because that's one of the things that came up in the reunion. Rebecca was upset of the tone, but she didn't say the tone level. Okay, but that's what she actually meant. Because in Scientology, they tell you that the tone of the person is something for you to judge. So Rebecca's calling them all covert hostility 1.1ers, and she doesn't like that tone. So just so you get how twisted it gets. Just so it's like actually starts becoming clear. You are choosing to let an organization dictate who you love, who you can speak to, who you can even mourn. You are choosing to prioritize your status in the cult over the safety of your own family. That's what you're getting called out for, Rebecca. Not for anything else. Oh, my beliefs. We don't give an F what you believe. Don't give a literal shred of a literal F what the F you want to believe as a full-grown woman that you are, Rebecca. You want to lock yourself up in an audit? You want to be held there for 4 or 5 hours being asked how you like to masturbate? You want to discuss that? You better not be doing that with a child. You better not be doing that with an underage child, Rebecca, of which there's many still at Flag, where you just moved, Real Housewives of Florida that you really are. Real Housewives of New York. You also got called out for that because you moved to Florida, turns out. Imagine that. When it all comes crashing down, when your kids leave, when the world turns against you, when the lies cannot hold up any longer, what are you going to do? Act like you're the victim? As if you didn't spend years upholding the very system that broke your own children. As if you didn't stand by silent and complicit while kids were used, discarded, trafficked, and abandoned. Because that's the part that y'all never want to admit, is it? The way you watched it happen, the way you knew what was going on, the way you turned a blind eye because facing it would mean facing yourselves. And the ugliest truth of all, some of you didn't turn a blind eye. Some of you actively participated. Some of you enforced it. Some of you carried out the orders, signed the paperwork, locked the doors, ripped families apart, interrogated children, lied on their behalf, turned in reports, did all the dirty work that Scientology was asking to be done. Without shame, without repudiation, without having a come to Jesus moment anytime. Never. Why are all of them so occluded? Because they don't want to confront the evil they created. They don't want to confront the machine they created. They don't want to confront that they don't have a way to defend the indefensible. And now, you want us to believe that you were all trapped? No. You had choices. You have options. You have the ability to walk the fuck away. Every single grown adult in Scientology has that choice. That choice comes every morning of every single day. So for all of you that want to go, oh, but no one had a choice, they have it every morning of every single day, just like every adult has the capacity to exert whatever in the hell they want to do that day. They had the ability to walk away, and guess what? The kids did not. The kids do not. Not 10 years ago, not 15 years ago, not 30 years ago, never. They are codependents of these abusive L. Ron Hubbard sycophants that adopted everything a convicted felon said to do. How many times did you say this was an applied religious philosophy? So what type of the philosophy were you really applying on your kids, Rebecca? On your kids. Start with that confession. Start with that level of self-awareness. What part of this bullshit that this convicted felon said to do am I really doing on my kids without a shred of critical thinking just because my mother used to do it to me, to Max, to Yuri? You think just because your mother used to do it to you, then you can go and just do it to your kids? No. Just because your mother and your father were unhinged, disgusting degenerates, sycophants of a convicted felon, does not mean that you get to do that too. That you get to be a grown-ass adult, having experienced everything that happens to a child in a childhood that is ridden with the Scientology logic, which, breaking news to everybody, is the logic of a convicted felon that places kids in systemic danger 24/7, 365. All adults were treating the kids as adults. So you tell me what child is safe inside of a Scientology hotel being told that they're an adult? While adults sit in courtrooms and sessions and ethics handlings writing wins, while they let themselves believe that they're part of something bigger, more important, the kids are the ones left stuck, losing everything. They lose their childhoods, they lose their family, they lose their mother, they lose their father, they lose their ability to dream beyond the confines of the walls built around them. So now you're not the victim here. You keep pretending, but it won't change the facts. The parents in Scientology aren't victims of a system they cannot escape. They are enforcers of said system. They are willing, consenting adult participants that sign all manner of contracts, all manner of invoices, all manner of wire transfers and credit card charges so that they can get serviced at a Scientology hotel and commercial building, including but not limited to by underage kids, Rebecca. In what world do you go out and visit a hotel staffed by minors other than in your Florida hotel, Rebecca? Because really tell your housewife friends how normal that would be if y'all would have shown up to Puerto Rico and the, luxury 5-star hotel that you were checking into there was also staffed by, 14-year-olds and 15-year-olds and 12-year-olds brought from all over the world. So in case you want to pretend like, oh, I had no idea that it wasn't normal, in what world have you been living outside in the real world? In a literal Bravo TV show where you've been, given the red carpet to all these 5-star luxury hotels. Were there children working there, Rebecca? How many years did you say you've lived in New York? Have you seen children working inside of New York hotels? Because you've seen that in Florida. So in what world is in Florida okay for you? But, in New York, it doesn't happen. In what world can that discrepancy really exist? Because that's the kind of information you need to start clarifying. Not if you can be Jewish and Scientologist at the same time. Who gives an F about that? That's a red herring that is part of the glitch set up so that people that have and feel a certain type of way about you, that they just cannot put their finger on it, given the fact that they are not exposed to Scientology the way you've been. They're not groomed up to their neck and ears to reframe all these abusive, disgusting policy letters that are indefensible, pitched by a convicted felon as something great and amazing. I think it was called snake oil. And imagine that you got offended by being told that you were selling snake oil with your Scientology pitch, Rebecca. Wow. Imagine that offended you. Imagine that offended you. I mean, I'd say they're being nice. They're being nice to you. They're giving you some benefit of the doubt. They feel a certain type of way about you. They're suspecting, they're onto you. Your outpointee is what they would call it in Scientology. You are literally screaming, pull the string here. That's what you're doing. Even though you think you're like, oh, I'm so strong and I'm like yelling at everyone back and making myself the victim at all times that I can to reframe everything as a victim. Like, yeah, that's your only go-to, because the real you cannot really stand a shred of scrutiny. The real you falls apart in front of all of us. And you know what? We're still advocating for you. Believe it or not, this is advocacy for your behalf. We wouldn't wish this on our worst enemy, Rebecca. Scientology, your Scientology father, your Scientology mother. I don't wish a Scientology mother or father to any child. No child deserves an unhinged, degenerate sycophant of a convicted felon as a father or a mother. But yet here we are. In the year 2025, we're here because you're still choosing this. If you're still making excuses, if you're still holding on to the fantasy that this is just a misunderstood religion, which is what you keep pitching, falsely pitching, then you are the epitome of the problem. You represent it. You define it. You epitomize it. And we're done letting that slide because nothing changes if nothing changes. So let me say it one last time. You are not stuck. Y'all are not confused. Y'all are not helpless, as you have $100 million that you can tap at any time to rescue yourself. So if you're unwilling to face the discomfort of change, then that is a you problem. You don't want to face the change because you want to get stuck to, oh, I really believe we were saving our world, you guys. They really made it believable. Whippity-doo-dah. Who gives an F how believable it seemed? Start landing in reality in this year of new perspectives that you just said on your Instagram that was going to be you. All about new perspectives. Well, start clearing those perspectives because I hope to God the Bravo audience can start holding you accountable and can start really looking into your history because there's a lot more there than meets the eye, Becky Minkoff, and you know it. And you still would have the opportunity to come forward, to come clean, to repudiate everything, to really sober the F up. But no one can sober you for you. You got to be doing that work on yourself. You're addicted to Scientology. You're an addict. It creates delusions of grandeur. Yes, you don't take a pill, but you're swallowing L. Ron Hubbard's excrement. And guess what? Swallowing the excrement of L. Ron Hubbard off of the pages of disgusting books he wrote lands you completely delusional, out of your mind, with cognitive dissonance that, only if you're taking fentanyl combined with crack could you really be getting to that level of delusional. Because once you start calling kids adults, guess what? That's a dangerous delusion you're having. No one is going to convince us otherwise anymore. We're not those kids y'all could yell at and scream at, pretend that you really know what in the hell you're talking about. Y'all are pathetic, disgusting clowns that have no way of defending what you believe. So your only go-to is to make yourself the victim every time you get called out for anything. Damn, life is about to get much harder for all of you. Yeah, starting with your bags. I mean, imagine if you think there's nothing wrong with child labor at a Florida hotel, Rebecca Minkoff, in what world are we supposed to believe that, gee, I wonder if your company really is checking if the Chinese companies that you hire over there are not, in violation of any child labor laws. You don't give an F about them here. So in what world would you really care about that in China? So start typing that information on your website. Start showing us receipts that there's no child labor involved in your process. Because in your religious process, child labor is involved. We would know. We were one of those child laborers, Rebecca. I was tapped to what? Oh, yeah. To supervise your father, David Minkoff, to supervise your mother, Sue Minkoff, to supervise your brother, Max Minkoff, to supervise your brother, Yuri Minkoff, to supervise your sister-in-law, Stephanie Minkoff. So, yes, I'm up to my neck and ears in your disgusting, dysfunctional family dynamic. And guess what? I had no choice in that MF matter, given the fact that, yes, starting at age 12 is when I was being made available for your family to use from your father, from your mother, from your brothers, from your entire family, Rebecca. That's called kids that were in the Sea Org. In case you're like, oh, I'm so confused. Yeah, that's called we were in the Sea Org and we were tapped to be your slaves. Because none of us were saving our world. Not even close. Not even close. Exactly, Brooke. Power lies to paralyze. I'm glad you brought this up. To be fair to the parents, they're not told the truth about what the e-meter is doing to them. It is so sad. I mean, yes, they're not told that their delusional adult fantasy is a delusional adult fantasy. And that's about as much bandwidth I have for grown people that translate abusive practices into self-entitlement and self-righteous ways. Because the benefit of the doubt is gone, given the fact of how many decades of systemic institutional abuse has been perpetrated on minors. So it sucks that they're the victims of misinformation. Yeah, it sucks that they've acted on said misinformation. It's sad that they've made choices that have affected their kids with said misinformation. But you know what? I don't have a single tear to cry for a single one of these parents, given the fact that none of them have shown one tear for all the kids that they've abused. You show me who's crying. You show me what mother has been disgusted that she ever thought she belonged to something special when she was just abusing others. Like, literally, Cece's the one that's come the closest to even remotely take accountability. I used to be a fan of Andy Cohen, but he's just as guilty as Jimmy Kimmel covering up the crimes of Scientology by allowing his series to avoid the topic. Well, yeah, in my opinion, but yes and no. I mean, look at what this has done. You guys, we've never had a more high profile Scientology example of a deadbeat mother than Rebecca Minkoff. And going back to this point of societal grace, right? Like the whole point is like, everyone is supposed to be respectful of other adults' beliefs and choices, and no one can impose that on anyone else. We're beyond that point. But that's only beyond that point are the kids that suffered no childhoods thanks to these people. And it is up to us to advocate, to make the point clear, to make it crystal clear that every single thing that these adults are doing inside of those hotels and commercial buildings they call Scientology is a power dynamic imbalance where no kid is safe. And if Andy Cohen allowed Rebecca to go in there, she didn't come out winning. She didn't come out with any type of sanitized image. I mean, it's not like, you know, Elizabeth Moss was not being shooed out of Jimmy Kimmel. So I think Jimmy Kimmel is way more of a launderer of the image, because Rebecca was allowed to be there and she could have discussed, she could have gone into it, but she cannot get into it, you guys, because Rebecca has what you call a Miss Withhold. All of these women keep not finding what she really is withholding, keep not finding the parts that Rebecca doesn't want to talk about. Rebecca cannot afford to let them know what is actually going on, because there's no adult that could survive that type of PR hit. When they're all doing this at a mass scale to a mass amount of kids, when they've subjected their own kids to the abuses, Check how Ruby Frankie and Jody Hildebrand are really going to want to claim that, oh, but we thought the abuse was to help them. I mean, never mind that Jody Hildebrand was running a Fort Harrison hotel out of her Utah home. The Fort Harrison hotel is that Jody Hildebrand home on steroids. Transfer that into the Sandcastle Hotel. Transfer that into the Fort Harrison Hotel. Transfer that to where there's hundreds of Jody Hildebrands, self-righteous, delusional, MF, you know what, pretending that they know better, pretending that, you know, again, these are sadists that get off on abusing and having unfettered access to as many kids as they want, making them their slaves. It doesn't matter. They're having a religious experience at the expense of the kids. Yes. And so what is anyone so pressed about? That's Rebecca's attitude. That's literally what she's showing you when she doesn't want to get into the weeds of Scientology, because we never had time. You went on a plane ride and you couldn't have spoken about that. You couldn't have clarified it. You cannot clarify what you cannot defend, Rebecca. So, you know, Andy Cohen, to me, just exposed what it was. Literally. Literally. Exactly, Brooke. I hope that have questions from the audience, so we ask her the questions at the reunion. Yeah, well, I don't think that Rebecca's going to be doing much with them, you guys, because let's get to the Daily Mail, right? Rebecca Minkoff grilled over ties to Scientology on RHONY reunion and addresses cult accusations. So Rebecca Minkoff was grilled over her ties to Scientology on The Real Housewives. Hold on, let me just move this here. Exactly. We give 3 points and 0. Okay, so hold on. Rebecca Minkoff was grilled over the ties to Scientology on The Real Housewives of New York reunion and even addressed the cult accusations. The 44-year-old fashion designer who joined the Bravo series in a guest role this season also addressed their future on the series, took a stand against the cast members who made some kind of comments regarding her beliefs. Rebecca specifically addressed that Erin Leachy said about her in a confessional earlier in the season. Erin, 37, said on the reunion show, she called me to complain about me bringing up, how are you Jewish and how are you Scientologist? Which was approved language, actually, from you. But she didn't like the tone in which I said it. Erin went on to call Rebecca the most self-involved person I've ever met. So right here, you guys, it was approved language. Because, you know, and this was actually discussed with Andy himself, that this was a sensitive topic. So there was some sort of negotiation as to, you know, there was some sort of boundary apparently implemented in order to have the ability to really go there with her. And where it goes into, she didn't like the tone in which she said it. Again, that's like Rebecca saying the tone level of which she said it. So Rebecca looks at the way she speaks and she denigrates the way she's speaking because she doesn't like that she's asking a question that could even cast a shred of doubt over her. Right? Because again, going back to like, she cannot explain why she said Scientologist and a Jewish. She tries to word salad her way through it. But again, these are ladies that are not in need of approval, not in need of people pleasing Rebecca Minkoff. They don't give an F if Rebecca Minkoff comes or goes. They're just calling out the shit. That's how these reality shows go, you know, and you have an entire audience similar to what's become literal YouTube TV for us. Like, you have an entire audience that goes, no, and I found this receipt and I found this other problem and I saw you on the video said this, and you know, like the exact same thing that happens there happens to us here. So yeah, so and then she gets called the most self-involved person I've ever met. I mean, she grew up in Scientology. Blame it on the alcohol and Scientology. So do you guys see here, Rebecca Minkoff was grilled over her ties to Scientology on the Real Housewives of New York reunion and even addressed the cult accusations. Seen to left to right, Rebecca, Jessel Tank, Jenna Lyons, and Bryn Whitfield. Here's another picture of Rebecca. She loves leather, you guys. She loves it. Here she is. Host Andy Cohen asked what she meant by approved language, to which Aaron explained, I understand it is a sensitive topic for her. I said, can I ask you the question? And she said, yes. Her being mad about that was literally the weirdest thing ever. They then showed a clip from the confessional in which she said, I don't fully understand how you can have two religions that are so different and opposing. See, Rebecca, like something doesn't make sense. The Jewish religion does not call for kids to be called adults. So how do you reconcile these completely diametrically opposed beliefs? It's giving you have to be a fake ass, you know what? You're being fake. And that's what you're being called out for. You're being fake. Fake AF. Rebecca expressed to Aaron that hearing that was a bit disappointing before insisting that Scientology is a world-recognized religion. Alert, world-recognized religion. Guess whose talking point that is? Just take a wild guess, you guys. Who do you think always told us non-stop ad nauseum, we're a worldwide recognized religion, you guys? Don't forget. Don't forget that we're a worldwide religion. That's the talking point. That's the short story. That's how you counteract being called out for what you're actually doing, right? So this is how they play dumb. They go, it's a worldwide. It couldn't be a full-grown scam affecting kids worldwide, right? Like, oh no, that couldn't be. It's just a worldwide religion. Aren't we so legit? Said who? Said who, Rebecca? It's a worldwide religion because your founder is a convicted felon. So by all means, tell your castmates at the Housewives in what literal world is a convicted felon a person you really want to pitch as some sort of incredible, whatever it is that you have the cognitive dissonance and the delusion to be calling that. As of today, Rebecca, like I was right there and stuck inside of the hotel with you back in the day. But you know what? We did make different choices, didn't we? We did stop supporting something that was so harmful and so disgusting. We have been calling out all the dysfunction, all the players, and the victims who need the most advocacy, Rebecca. Well, it would be great for you to use your great $100 million platform to be doing something of value instead of just, going onto the Housewives. You guys, she got called out for literally saying she was there because that would be making a lot of money for her backs. She was going to get exposure. She was going to continue building her brand and this BS book that she has about how she's a great entrepreneur. Rebecca, you haven't spoken about the amount of influence Scientology had in how you just climbed up and became so successful. the type of investment they made in you, the type of secrets that, look, literally the spilling out of the literal screen. Inside RHONY star Rebecca Minkoff's dark family, who's right there? Danny Masterson, Rebecca. So did Danny Masterson have anything to do with you landing a multi-million-dollar bag operation funded by who exactly, Rebecca? Because that would be great to understand who your actual investors were. How much of that was undue influence that you got deals from Scientology, given the fact that you are right there next to you know exactly who. So here she goes. I feel like in general, Rebecca expressed that it was disappointing before insisting Scientology a worldwide religion. She said, I feel like in general, the subject with me in the show has been disrespected. The audacity for you to feel disrespected when all of you as full-grown adults do nothing but disrespect childhood's children is rich, Rebecca. Imagine you being a grown-ass woman talking about how you're not feeling respected. Well, how do you disrespect a child that you're treating as an adult? Because you know what? It's called, you are trying to call someone the same thing you're doing, but to an indefenseless child. Here you're not. Here you can defend yourself. Here you're a full grown-ass woman, Rebecca. Here you were taking this opportunity to build your brand and sell more bags. It backfired AF. Rebecca Minkoff is in a lot of ethics trouble right now, you guys. Like, she's not doing anything great or wonderful. This type of press for Scientology equals ethics trouble. And Rebecca Minkoff is already making amends, is already literally doing all the things that Scientology is literally punishing her for. Why did you do this? Why did you pull in all this bad press and information about us? Why did you not explain Scientology better? Why didn't you? Literally, this is what she's going over. Quote from Rebecca, it has helped me overcome depression, anxiety. Be a better mom. Be a better communicator. Deal with the incredible, intense pressure of running a company. A company Scientology helped you build, Rebecca. Are we supposed to cry that you ended up with $100 million in your bank account? You literally say Scientology makes you be a better mom. What part of telling a child they're an adult makes you a better mom, Rebecca? What part of telling a child that they're a degraded being makes you a better mom, Rebecca? You safe pointing Scientology for mothers. You setting yourself up. Well, if you know, I did hear that multi-million-dollar Rebecca said it really helped with her mothering. Let me really go check out Scientology and see if I can become a better mother. Oh, so my child's no longer a child? Oh, so this whole time, here I was being a mother thinking my child was younger than me, dependent on me, needing my protection, needing my, adult faculty skills. Here I was thinking that my child needed that. Come to find out, my child's an adult. Why in the F was I bothering to raise a child when the child could have been doing this all along by themselves? So that made you a better mom? That makes a Scientology. In what world is a mother being told not to be a mother make her a better mother, Rebecca? Because that's what Scientology literally feeds you. You're not a mother. You're not their mother. They're Thetans. You're not Thetan. Nobody here. Everybody knows each other at the hotel. We're all part of this big family. You're so important. You're so highly qualified. But here you are pitching Scientology as a great mother that you're not. And imagine you're saying you're a great communicator. Well, you know where your communication skills were lacking all throughout the season, Rebecca, because your communication skills is manipulate, spin, act like the victim, rinse and repeat. Manipulate, spin. Once the manipulation and the spin don't work, act like the victim real quick. I'm being discriminated, you guys. I'm so not being treated with respect. Child abusers, in our own personal opinion, Rebecca, deserve no respect at all. You are the bottom of the barrel filth. And if L. Ron Hubbard told you to go and abuse kids, go double check on that exact pitch, Rebecca. Go check on that really quick and actually know that that's written on a policy letter before you want to play dumb and say, oh, Serge has no idea what he's talking about. L. Ron Hubbard never said to abuse a child. If L. Ron Hubbard told you to call children adults, that was already abusive. That was already beyond. And you know what? The rabbit hole goes so way deeper than that, Rebecca. So by all means, start traveling that rabbit hole on your own, because we're not going to literally have to decompress reality and common sense for you. You could be doing that on your own. We don't owe you that on top of everything. She looked at Aaron and Andy, who are Jewish, before saying, getting attacked for it feels like we're dealing in a time being attacked for what we believe in. Again, Rebecca, what you believe, nobody gives an F about. What you do with said deranged beliefs is what matters. How you treat kids as adults in small bodies, because that's what your belief said to think about kids, that's the problem. That's the problem. Exposing kids to clear and present danger because you're going with the pitch, but L. Ron Hubbard told us that this was very kid-friendly, but L. Ron Hubbard told us that this was really great and wonderful. No. Check the law. Check what aggravated child abuse is. Check what locking up a child against his will is, tantamount to kidnapping. That's a felony. Full-blown textbook felony as stated in the law in black and white, Rebecca. Not in red and green like the L. Ron Hubbard policies. Like the bullshit, idiotic hotel that you go to really go get your withholds clean. To really go float away your self-admitted felonies. If you got any self-admitted felonies that you've been floating there, Rebecca, double check if that's a good idea for you to be spending that type of tax write-off money on Scientology. Double check on that. Because here she's going to Aaron and Andy, who are both Jewish, and getting attacked for it feels like we're dealing in a time with being attacked for what we believe in. No. For the 10th billionth time is what you do with the beliefs. It's the fact that the beliefs come from a convicted felon. They have no literal defense. That's the problem. I mean, that's literally the problem, you guys. Rebecca then was asked how she felt attacked by the cast members, and she replied, some of the things said in the confessionals really hurt. Outside of the show, you were attacked all day. It felt like I was coming from a place of, I'm going to bring up because it's a clickbait and I'm going to get you to react. Clickbait is you showing up on the Housewives Rebecca, thinking that people are gonna go, oh look, there's Rebecca with the handbags. Let's really go buy some, because aren't we all looking forward to being a Scientology mom like Rebecca? Aren't we also influenced by you, Rebecca? Because that's what you've been building out yourself to be. That's why you wrote yourself a little book. That's why you sold your stupid handbag company. You don't even own it anymore. So you still work for it in whatever deal you made with them. I mean, imagine that now they bought a brand that it's you who carries the brand. A Scientology mother carries that brand. So let that sink in. Let that fully sink in what you have endorsed. How many millions of dollars have you written off your taxes, Rebecca, to uphold what gets done to kids inside of Scientology hotels and commercial buildings? Because that would be great to start getting that tally. So for all of you that want to go, oh, but she must have, wasted all this money and they were taking advantage, Scientology gives them a write-off. They get a write-off as they're getting clout in the cult. So they're not making any sacrifices. The multimillionaires love it because it makes them the masters of who? All the other slaves, underlings that they get under them. So yes, it's a caste system. Yes, you have to pay your way to the top. And Rebecca's very proud because she's positioned herself right at the very top there. Right at that literal top, when she was literally using this entire operation as clickbait. But, anyone that brings up Scientology is clickbait. Good one. She then took aim at something Bryn Whitfield said during the season, that she said, I feel like when someone calls someone as a used car salesman selling snake oil, that's offensive, when she never even bothered to get to know me at all. Like I said earlier, Rebecca, snake oil salesman is the last of your worries or problems. If you ask me, it's a very sanitized, glib way of explaining what you're selling. I wish it was snake oil. I wish you would ingest Scientology and nothing would happen. You are going to wish that's what it was, that you were just selling snake oil. Because the snake oil being sold at Scientology is laced with consequences, is laced with choices that are not in accordance to what is written in black and white by the law. So imagine you're being called snake oil salesman, when, again, they're just going with their gut instinct. It's giving snakes oil, because I don't know, like everything you say makes no sense. Like you always talk in circles. You can never get a straight answer out of you. You act all like you're not talking to me in the right tone. Like everything is defend, everything is a deflect, everything is like you're wrong, because again, you do not have these women in your cult network of subservience that have to say, oh yeah, Rebecca, you're amazing. Oh my God, you're OT3. Oh my God, I wish I was Rebecca. Oh my God, if I could only be Rebecca. Oh my God, if I could only be like Rebecca, I would be the best mom. You're no example to follow. And I think these, independently thinking women were thinking that, but imagine you're not used to that. You're used to surrounding yourself with a bunch of zero critical thinking skills, yes ma'ams, because you are, like Scientology told you, become the master, recruit some slaves, recruit people with no critical thinking skills, recruit robots, recruit people that you can just, stomp on until they just become malleable puppets in your hand. So imagine, I think that the girls are going really nice on you, if you really ask. When someone calls you used car salesman selling snake oil, that's offensive when she never even bothered to know me at all. Imagine if she had bothered to know you, Rebecca. I mean, imagine if she was knowing you like I do back from childhood. Imagine we go way back. Imagine we couldn't be more interlaced and we couldn't be more disgusted that was our faith. Rebecca replied, that's a bigoted. Oh, and Andy then added a bit of fuel to the first as he brought up a comment of a fan of the show who said of her being casted, no thanks, stop normalizing cults. And yes, you guys, like you said earlier about Andy Cohen, like, yes, a lot of people were going like, yeah, we don't like Andy. He's like giving Rebecca a platform. He's trying to normalize the cult. But you ask me if Scientology looks, how is Scientology going to be normalized at this point, honestly? If anything, Andy has given us a huge favor because he's platformed the epitome of who represents the problem we're calling out. Scientology mothers, Scientology fathers, the Scientology family nuclei. And before everyone goes, oh, but we really need to stop the people at the hotel. It's the people in your family that make you susceptible to the predators at the hotel. If you're not groomed inside your family, you would not be recruited, you guys. And I can tell you this as a scientific fact. I had my own cousins who were not in a Scientology household, who did not have Scientology parents. And guess what happened? None of them ended up in Scientology. Gee, I wonder why. I really literally have to wonder why. Because again, it's the kids that are made available willy-nilly to the rest of the Scientology mothers and fathers who all come into the Tupperware family and bring their kids as their tokens, and they're exposing them to everything. Oh, here, have my child. Let me barter. Can I borrow yours? Here's mine. Here you go. Go get an audit. Go get an ethics handling. Go get a course. Go really up a bridge that is delusional. There's no bridge being crossed. These people are delusional. The only bridge being crossed is the bridge of lawful behavior, crossing it to unlawful behavior territory. That's the bridge that Scientology offers its grown consenting adults to cross. If you want to reframe that you're crossing that bridge from non-felonious behavior to felonious behavior, congratulations. Congratulations. Go up that bridge as much as you want. So yeah, Andy, no thanks, stop normalizing cults. Rebecca replied, that is a bigoted term. It's a hate speech to keep calling a religion a cult. It sounds like you have no idea the scores of kids, Rebecca, that are stuck inside your Scientology hotels. Because for the 10th billion time, anytime that anything is brought up to do with your cult. Everything is hate speech. Everything is bigoted. Like, the facts are not bigoted. It's you who is a bigot. It's you who is acting self-righteous. It's you who is acting delusional. So yes, this is an intervention. This is giving you the facts so you act accordingly. So perhaps if this message does arrive to Rebecca Minkoff, you guys, God willing, she goes, you're right. I'm completely out of my MF mind. What in the MF am I thinking? I need to rethink my entire life. I need to be in complete different choices. I need to put my kids in complete protection mode. I need to strip away all these bullshit terms I taught them about how they're out ethics, disgusting, degraded beings that are in a lower condition because they're not being productive enough. Imagine how much you already have to undo, Rebecca. So bigoted, hate speech, all of that garbage is not a defense you're going to be able to mount with us in the year 2025, Rebecca. Good one that you're still going with the old, it's all hate speech. And again, you're not being told what you can believe or not believe as a grown adult. You're being called out for how your beliefs affect your own kids. How the beliefs of your own parents affected all of us as kids. So hopefully that's clear. Hopefully that is starting to become clear to this woman, you guys. Because then she goes, you wouldn't be asking me these questions about Christianity, Muslim, Judaism. I'm tired of the attacks, and it's suddenly okay for this religion. As if it's suddenly okay for this religion. It is not. Was Judaism, Muslims, or Christianities funded by a convicted felon? Yes or no, Rebecca? It's a yes or no answer. And the answer is no, in case you're too stupid and didn't go to school to tell that answer. So yes, the answer is no. You're comparing apples to plastic. Not same category, not same style. It's theology and technology. Completely separate things, Rebecca. Theology deals in theoretical concepts, abstract concepts. Yes, a crazy unhinged person can grab an abstract concept and then abuse people using said abstract concept. But the abstract theological concept does not change. It's an abstract concept. Can a manipulator, gaslighter, narcissistic, psychopathic, sociopath grab a hold of something abstract and turn it into a tool of manipulation, exerting control and undue influence and coercion on members? Yes, they can. But that's the benefit of the doubt that all religions get as a result of what? Having abstract theological concepts. What you don't get is that in technology. See, technology does not work like theology. Technology isn't abstract. Technology isn't up to interpretation. Technology tells you A, B, C, D, E, F, G, Rebecca. And that's what you have in Scientology. So what are you talking about technology and theology being the same thing? How can Judaism and Christianity and Scientology be the same thing if one operates on theology, abstract concepts open to interpretation, and one does not? It's the diametrically opposite of the other one. In the other one, L. Ron Hubbard said, ain't nobody gonna be able to have a single abstract thought. If I wrote it down in a policy letter, you believe it. You clear your misunderstood words until you believe it. You do a clay demo until you believe it. You go grab a doll and drill it on a doll until you believe it. And you have no other choice. So imagine you coming here with your bullshit defense of like, oh, you wouldn't do it to this and you wouldn't do it to that. Yeah. Imagine that there's people in Christianity that have been arrested and charged as criminals. There are people that have been claiming that they're Muslims and they've been charged with crimes. and face jail. Judaism, same thing. Scientology, none. Zero Scientology people really actually getting, a shred of anything because everybody believes that they're following some sort of amazing religious path to really save our world. So I'm glad that you brought up this point, you guys, because this is a point that we need to continue to make. She was then asked if she had actually expected to be on Real Housewives of New York and not have to address Scientology at all. Rebecca said, I'm happy to talk about it if I feel like I'm at a place where I can have an honest conversation. Oh, you guys. Literally, you are seeing here, Rebecca wants to have an honest conversation if she's at a good place. You know what that's code for? Subjugation. Right, Rebecca? That's what that is actually code for. Oh, I'd be all about it. If they're asking for all the right reasons, if they're just going to be eating out of the palm of your literal hands like little children, gullible, naive, manipulatable, eating out of the palm of your hand, listening to your garbage pitch without being able to talk back at you, without being able to point out the facts that you won't see for yourself, multimillionaire woman that you say you are, self-made, really work so hard. Did you work so hard, or how was it all facilitated for you? Because that would be a better question for you to start really answering, Rebecca. She had a recent hour-long dinner with Raquel Chevermont and Giselle Tang to talk about her beliefs. Of the meeting, Rebecca said, this isn't something that you can answer. We spent an hour talking about it, and there was probably still more time to go. Do you have an hour? No, this is not the format to discuss it in. Oh, look at her, you guys. There. She is putting her little Jewish star there because Rebecca is not Jewish. It's all a front. She is at the Scientology hotels and commercial buildings, steeped into that culture deeper than pretty much anybody that we know. From her ties of her parents to her own brothers to her entire matrix is utterly compromised. Host Andy pressed her on it and insisted that she had tons of hours to talk about it, like in Real Housewives of New York cast and their various outings and trips and filming during the session. Rebecca replied, I'm not here to bring it up out of the blue. Not great, you guys. I mean, they did make you a good, what was it that you said, Rebecca? That you're very good at communication. They taught you that in Scientology. Yeah, they teach you the no answer. They teach you to control communication at all costs. They teach you to subjugate others so that you can be running your agenda on them. That's how you like them. Because you cannot stand a shred of scrutiny, because the minute scrutiny is put on you, Rebecca, you start melting faster than a candle, literally. Rebecca says her ties to Scientology were addressed throughout the season, and she's part of one of Scientology's most powerful and controversial families, and is a devout member of the religion herself. Minkoff, along with her entrepreneur brother, Yuri, their father, David Minkoff, and mother, Sue, have shelled out millions to Scientology, and even were awarded Diamond Meritorious status for hitting the $5 million in donation mark, according to the anti-Scientology blog, The Underground Bunker. The 90s, the fashionista's father, Dr. Minkoff, was involved in a wrongful death lawsuit that could have cost Scientology its tax-exempt status, and was recently named in a medical malpractice suit over the death of another high-level Scientology, Whitney Mills. The mom of four, who was also friends with actor Danny Masterson, is currently serving a 30-year prison sentence for rape. There he is, you guys. This was the approved doctor that they would send all the kids to. Because like I told you before, Scientology does not believe, not in medicine, not in psychiatry, doesn't believe in mandated reporters. That's what Scientology doesn't believe in. Mandated reporters? What is that? Who is that? Oh, psychiatrists? Who needs them? Psychologists? What for? Real doctors? For what? Teachers? Who would need a teacher that's not compromised to, handle with the Scientology ethics terms? So there's the dad. There's that part where they ask her about it. Photos of the beaming Minkoff happily posing with this gray sitcom star 2015 at an event of her fashion label are still up on her official Facebook page. Damn, Rebecca. Not you leaving Danny Masterson's photos all over your Facebook page. The Bravo star has been able to avoid the topic of her religion, both on her hit series, Bravo series, and in many of her press interviews. On a recent RHONY episode, she awkwardly dodged questions about Scientology from co-star Brynn Whitfield. If people ask us about Scientology shit, what do you want us to say? Whitfield said, no comment, Minkoff responded. And also, if you like, I don't know what to say. Here's what someone asked me. Come to me. Whitfield responded, I know you say no comment, but that kind of doesn't work. I'm a publicist. So is she. Whitfield pointed to co-star Giselle Tank, who was with them at the time. I just tell people, if you're curious, read a book. Minkoff shot back. That's it. She continued, we're a world-recognized religion. There's nothing secret. There's nothing weird, Oh, hell no, you guys. Please. By all means. Here's Rebecca when she didn't know what she was doing with the amount of situationship in her face. Here she is again. Whitfield then said in a confessional, this weekend, all these news articles came out about Rebecca being in Scientology, so there's more questions than answers. She added, the response I'm getting is very like I'm talking to ChatGPT. This is not the time or place for this conversation, but I feel I'm talking to a door-to-door salesman or something that is trying to sell me snake oil between us. It's weird. Viewers have been frustrated by Minkoff too, with one writing, why can we hear the talk about Scientology, which is what everyone knows her for? Another wrote, really need the girls to keep pressing Rebecca about Scientology. I don't give an F about whatever else she's got to say. A third added, I need them to grill Rebecca Minkoff more about Scientology. You will not be on the show and just give us no comment. Literally. A third added, why is Rebecca Minkoff on this show? Because she doesn't really speak, but when she does, it's weird, added one. Minkoff grew up in Scientology and has credited fellow Scientologist Jenna Elfman for capitulating her self-titled brand into the spotlight. According to Airmail, which cites the truth about Scientology, Minkoff has been forking out big bucks for Scientology courses since 91. And in 2021, she attained the level of OT, which is described by Scientology as a state of godliness. I mean, how is a convicted felon coming up with solutions to make people gods, you guys? Still don't understand why Bravo thought Rebecca Minkoff was a good addition to her castmates. Feel nervous about asking her questions about Scientology. Well, it is nice to hear Rebecca open up. It's not about what we want to hear. Why can we talk about Scientology, which is what everyone knows of her? Rebecca Minkoff is telling people to read about Scientology if they want to know about Scientology. So that's going to help what people are going to say about it. I mean, but that's how they always told us to answer, you guys. Oh, just read a book. Just read a book. If you read a book, you're going to start to get it. Her father, David Minkoff, was recently named in the sensational wrongful death lawsuit against Scientology's tragic suicide of Whitney Mills. Mills, a high-level Scientologist herself, struggled with mental health issues, which Scientology does not believe in, before taking her own life in 2022. A lawsuit filed by her family alleges that Mills was brainwashed by Scientology into believing that therapy and medical treatment like antidepressants were unnecessary and abhorrent. Scientology opposes taking most modern psychiatric methods such as psychiatry or psychiatric drugs. Dr. Minkoff is an alternative healthcare expert who founded the LifeWorks Wellness Center, which is billed as one of the nation's top alternative and natural healing clinics. The lawsuit also claims that Mills was misinformed and diagnosed with Lyme disease and a cancerous ovarian cyst by Dr. Minkoff, and that he billed her $20,000 for alternative health treatments that had not had anything to do with her anxiety or depression. Everything foisted upon Mills by these defendants was outside the field of mental health treatment, and everything failed the filing claims. She was at her wit's end, precluded from seeking the appropriate help. She felt she had no other choice. There's Scientology on Scientologist, Rebecca Minkoff, and there's the brother, Uri Minkoff. According to Inside Edition, in May 12, 2022, Mills attempted to set herself on fire before inflicting herself with a gunshot wound. Scientology denied Mills was ever under its care and stated that it does not provide medical advice. In a statement provided to the Daily Com, Scientology calls the death an unfortunate tragedy before adding, the complaint is meritless. The false allegations in the complaint are directly contradicted by evidence in public records. Dr. Minkoff also provided a statement of his own, telling Daily Mail that he and his LifeWorks Wellness Center stand behind the medical care and treatment rendered by their highly qualified medical staff to their former patients, Miss Whitney Mills. LifeWorks and Dr. Minkoff reject the false, spurious, and sensationalized claims raised in the lawsuit filed by Miss Mills' estate against LifeWorks, Dr. Minkoff, and others as if it relates to the care and treatment provided to Miss Mills. A matter of record, Miss Mills was no longer a patient of LifeWorks and Dr. Minkoff at the time of her you-know-what. Dr. Minkoff previously paid $100,000 as part of a settlement for the wrongful death lawsuit of Scientologist Lisa McPherson, who died in 1995. I mean, it's all connected, you guys. Here's Whitney. Here's Dr. Minkoff. Here's Lisa McPherson. And here's the ones that cause it, the ones that are in the cult. I had no idea this article was as long. So we've already been going for an hour and a half. So we're going to end this live here, you guys. But this is the beginning of our Scientology Housewife series. We're going to be digging into more of these Rebecca Minkoff allegations. We're going to be explaining more how Rebecca, being a Scientology mom, is the epitome of the problem that we're calling out. We are calling out the epidemic going on inside of these hotels and commercial buildings that, yes, all stem from a lot of misinformation, but it's the year 2025. That misinformation needs to be called out for what it is, which is all just abusive practices that lead to more and more and more and more abuse. So we hope that Rebecca Minkoff can have a come to Jesus moment. We hope that hitting this rock bottom that she's hitting is making her start to look at her life in the way that she needs to look at it. So I thank all of you guys for watching, for caring. Check out my Substack. We're going to be dropping more information about Rebecca there today. And we're going to be speaking about this, you guys, because the plight of minors inside Scientology hotels and commercial buildings is the same that it was when we were there ourselves. And how many decades later, nothing has been done to stop it. So this just calls for more advocacy and more education and more calling out the dysfunction and the thing that is keeping all of this alive and well. So thank you so much for joining us, and I will see you guys all very soon. Bye-bye.